Hello and welcome to today's class. My name is Jani, and over the next 4 weeks, we'll be rolling out videos on our YouTube channel to teach you how to do graphic design with Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator specifically. Thank you very much for watching this video. Kindly subscribe to this channel so that anytime we post a video you get a notification. Also click on the bell icon so that you'll be notified when a video is posted. So for today's class, I'll need you to do me a favor. The only way you'll really be able to learn how to use Photoshop is if you learn with observation. Okay, that's why a lot of people have not been able to really learn graphic design through tutorials. It's because you're looking at the end product, you're not looking at the process in terms of the tools, you're not looking at the tools. So I need you to, throughout all the classes, pay attention to the tools that we'll be using for all the designs we will be making. Okay, so let's get right into it. Today I'm going to be working on a picture. So let me quickly get that picture out for you right here. Okay, so I want to create a birthday design for this guy right here. Okay, so there are different stages in creating a birthday design, basically a birthday poster, and this is the first step. You can start from anywhere anyway. Some people prefer to start from the main composition, but I prefer to start from here. Okay, so and this process, what I'm about to do right now, starting from here, is something we call the workflow. Basically, your workflow is how you go about your work. That is your process and the tools you use to achieve your projects. So this is the beginning of my workflow for this particular project. All right, so the first thing you're going to learn in today's class is how to crop a picture professionally. But before I show you my magic tool, my special tool, I want to first of all introduce you to some of the tools that are mostly used by other people, tools that some of you have probably used before and maybe struggled with it. Sometimes it works for you, but sometimes it can be really stressful. So I'm going to just quickly walk you through it so that you can learn how to make the right choice of tools when you want to create a poster design or do graphic design using picture elements for your work. So right here you can see this tool right here is called the Magic Wand tool. This is one of the most commonly used tools, Magic Wand tool for cropping. And I personally, when you're dealing with a complex picture, I will not advise you use it. So let me just quickly show you what it does. So I'm just going to come right here. First of all, let me go ahead and duplicate this layer, and what I'm going to press is Ctrl J on the keyboard. On the Mac, that's Command J. All right, so I'm going to go right ahead. I have my settings for tolerance at 12 already, so I'm just going to click right here so you can see what happened right now. So if I go ahead and hold Shift and I keep clicking, you notice how this Magic Wand tool is selecting, all around his body. Okay, so you can see this right now. So if I were to go ahead and just crop this out right now, okay, I'm going to press Shift Control I to invert my selection. This effect you can see at the edges that looks like moving dashes, it's called a selection. All right, so anytime I say selection, you know that I'm referring to this moving lines, so it's called a selection. So now I want to do something called masking. Okay, so please take note of all these things I'm doing, so that when you're working, you know what each button, each tool does. I've just introduced you to the magic wand, and I'm trying to show you how it works and why I will not use it for this kind of picture, and I will eventually show you what I'm going to use. But I just want to walk you through the tools that people would use to crop out a picture on a regular day, and why it won't work for this particular picture, and how to make the right decision of tools for cropping pictures. Okay, so let me go ahead. Pardon me. So I'm going to go ahead and click. Can you see this button right here? This is called the mask button. So for me to really see what I'm doing, I'm going to make this bottom layer invisible. By the way, this panel you can see right here, let me collapse it for you so you understand. This right here is called the layers panel, and this is where the arrangement of everything in your design happens. This helps your design to be orderly, so you can see everything that you're creating from scratch to the top right here on the layers panel. So I'm going to go ahead and make this background invisible, and then I'm going to crop, mask this selection. So I want you to see the result. Okay, so you would observe that. Let me zoom in and scroll. So you'd observe that a part of his hair is missing, and then you also observe the most important thing I want to observe is that the edges of this picture are not perfectly cut. You can see that a lot of rough edges, and so some pictures you see in designs, you see rough edges, and really you don't want to have this kind of rough edges in your design, because it really does not look professional at all. All right, so this is what the magic wand tool would do in this scenario. There are scenarios where the magic wand tool does really good cropping, and let me show you one of those scenarios. So let me just go right here and choose an image. All right, so let's do something like this. So now I'm going to duplicate this layer. Ctrl J. Pardon me, that was a mistake. Ctrl J. I'm going to make this one invisible, and then just click. So you're just going to notice something quick. You'll notice that the entire edges of this image were selected, right? And so if I did my Shift Ctrl I to invert my selection and mask this, you'd notice that this image is perfectly cropped. Okay, so zooming into the edges, you will still notice some roughness, right? But then this is a more proper result than what we have in the initial image. Yeah, and so because we want to pay attention to details, please take note of that word, attention to details. You don't want to select any place that needs to be cropped, because when you want to introduce a background in this behind this image, you want to be sure that anything that is like not a part of the picture for your new environment, you want to ensure all that is removed. Okay, so I'm just going to go right and tap X, and then tap backspace to delete. The reason why I'm tapping X is because of the layer mask. A black layer mask needs a white foreground color to be able to remove components, and a white layer mask needs a black foreground color to be able to remove elements. All right, great. So I'll just go ahead and zoom out so you can see this. So if I were to introduce a background in this right now, you would see exactly what I'm talking about. So let me just pick her hair, or her dress rather. So you can see the effect of what we just did. Okay, and you have to do the same thing here. You'd also see the result of what we just did. So you can see the differences in the results. Generally speaking, you can see the magic wand is not your best tool for cropping. Okay, so but like I've shown you, there are cases where you can use that perfectly well. I will just show you one more scenario for the use of the magic wand tool that I consider the most perfect scenario for using the magic wand tool, and I'll explain why. Okay, so I'm going to use a magic wand tool here as well, just for you to see the effect we're going to achieve here. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this layer and click. So you can see that the entire edges of this image have been selected. So I'm going to go ahead and still select this side of the glasses, so that when we crop that, all those details will be gone. So repeat Shift Control I to invert the selection, and then layer mask to remove the background. So let's zoom in. You notice how perfect this magic wand tool has cropped this image for us, and the major reason, the basic reason why that happened is because the edges, the contours and the edges of this image were juxtaposed on a plain background. Okay, and that plain background did not have similar elements in terms of the color with the edges of the image. I'll take that again. This image was juxtaposed on a plain background, and the edges of this image did not have the same color as the background. So it was easy for the magic wand tool to identify the edges of this image and select them perfectly without us having any roughness. Okay, so we can see the best scenario for the use of the magic wand tool. Great. So in the next video, I will introduce you to more tools used for cropping, and like I said, the pros and the cons, before I now bring you to my final A tool, my best choice for cropping images, and why. Thank you for attending this class. Meet me in the next class. Take care.